Mommispace, a place where you can remember who you are in the midst of it all. This podcast gives moms of all stages a voice to share their experiences and the truth that there is no right way to mom.
A stranger holds my hand and I'm living in a land of prayers from people I don't know. Now I'm still breathing.
Welcome back to Mommispace. This is Bree, and it is episode 3 of season 3. I can't believe we're already halfway there. This has been a emotional but really beautiful season so far, and I'm so grateful to you if you have decided to tune in to all of those or just one of those. I think it gives light and honor to the mothers that have gone through some of these things, and really honoring you if you've gone through some of these really hard things too. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, and you'll hear why once you get into it. But I feel like it's an important topic, something that I actually talked about on Instagram with a lot of you before I even interviewed this particular mama. So I'm hoping that it is informative and helpful. Just remember, there's a ton of grace over this, over you, over all of these episodes. And I just hope that it is a beautiful thing for you and that you enjoy it. Just a little reminder, if you're not already on Instagram or Facebook, Mommispace is on there, and I'm always posting and wanting to connect with you as a listener. It's been really fun to be able to connect with a couple of you there, and that's how I've actually found a lot of these interviewees. So if you feel like you have something to offer or want to share your story, I love when people reach out and connect with me because that's the whole goal here, right? Is to spread the love and the news that we're not alone. So if you're not already following Mommispace on Instagram or Facebook, go ahead and check that out. Also, I do giveaways every week on Thursdays just because I want to give back to you guys, and there's some fun things that you can find there. So yeah, I think that's it. Love you guys. You're amazing. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed talking to Sylvia myself. And with that, let's do it. Episode 3, season 3. Here we go. Welcome back to Mommispace. This is Bree, and today I am here with Sylvia Zakusilov. Sylvia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks.
I was introduced to you via a friend on Instagram who brought you to my attention when I posted the question on my stories about circumcision and wondering what people's experiences were and what all the fuss was about it. And I wanted to get a professional opinion from somebody and to kind of hash through it on here. And that's why someone introduced me to you, and I'm very excited to kind of talk to you about this subject. But before we kind of dive into that, I would love if you could share a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and what your family/daily life looks like.
Yeah, well, I am a mom. I have 4 kids. I have 3 girls and a boy. We live in Indiana, and my husband is from Russia. He was born in Ukraine, grew up in Russia. So we're sort of an international family, which is fun.
So cool.
He still speaks Russian. Yeah. And I was an ER nurse for 5 years, and I went on and got my master's. So now I'm an ER nurse practitioner. I've been working in the ER for 13 and a half years now, which makes me sound really old. But I love working in the ER. It's a great shift because I can work part-time evenings. And during the day, I homeschool my kids. My kids are ages 8 all the way down to 18 months. But I'm homeschooling the older 3, which is fun. It takes up a lot of time, but I love being home with them, and I love being able to get out and work a few evenings a week in the ER and just serve people and help people.
It's amazing. You're basically super mom in my eyes.
No.
That's so crazy.
No, I'm not.
You are. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, could you share too? I love to ask mamas their story of their
Yeah.
journey into motherhood. So would you just share a little bit? How did you, or not how did you become a mom? We know how that works, but what did that look like for you? Were you guys trying to get pregnant, and kind of what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, well, I always knew I wanted to have kids. I mean, I knew I wanted to wait until I was done with my degree, and then I wanted to go in for my master's. So I actually waited till after I was done with my nurse practitioner degree, which was great. But yeah, we were definitely trying. We wanted to have kids, and we're just delightfully surprised when we got pregnant with our daughter. And but being a mom is so different from the textbooks. I would read in my books about caring for babies and kids, and like being a mom, I'm like, wow, this is a whole new level of even being an ER nurse doesn't compare to, being a
Oh,
mom.
wow.
It is the most challenging job ever, but it's the most rewarding job. It's amazing. I love it, and I'm so blessed and thankful for each of my four babies.
Oh, so cool. Okay, so can you start us off with this conversation, just sharing, like, medically, what is circumcision? Let's dive in.
Well, I actually, when I was in nursing school, I had to watch a couple of them. That's part of the schooling. But basically, they take a baby. It's the foreskin is the mobile end of the penis that covers it, and they take the babies here in America at least, and when they're about 2, 3 days old, and they will probably about 50% of the time here is they'll numb it up either with a cream or an injection, and then they will put a clamp on and separate the foreskin from the glands, and then they'll cut that off. So they take off the covering of the end of the penis, and that's basically what circumcision is. So I got to see a few of those while I was in nursing school.
Okay, awesome. I know that probably most people know about it, but just for the off chance someone didn't know, that's good we have that out there
Yep.
on the table. Okay,
Yep.
so I guess some of the things I wanted to ask you in regards to this is, where did this come from? Why do we practice this here in the States? And you can kind of just share a little bit about the history of it and other facts that you
Yeah.
have learned in the process of your training and everything.
Yeah. Well, really, globally, about 80% of the world's men are intact. America, the circumcision rate is about 70% at this time. In Finland and China, it's 0%. Canada, it's 20%. In Japan, it's 1%. Back years ago, a lot of tribes used to practice it, and Abraham, it was part of the Jewish covenant in biblical times. However, as time went on, the church rejected circumcision because it was seen as solely a Jewish practice, and it wasn't. Once Jesus came and died on the cross, circumcision was replaced by baptism because Jesus was the last blood sacrifice. And there's a bunch of verses in the Bible. Galatians 5:2, it says, "Behold, I, Paul, tell you that if you be circumcised, Christ will be of no advantage to you." So the early Christians realized that circumcision was not there was no benefit spiritually to performing it. So for a long time, there was no circumcision in the church. However, in the Victorian era, they started to see that they believed that masturbation caused diseases. And so in the 1800s, Dr. Kellogg started saying that, well, if you circumcise your boys, it's going to cure diseases. It's going to prevent epilepsy, syphilis, paralysis, bedwetting, scoliosis, blindness, tuberculosis. They started believing it had all these medical benefits. And that's where it really started becoming popular. That's when it started becoming popular. However, now most of the countries have now stepped away from it as being a medical procedure, and actually no medical organization in the world now recommends it. Although America continues, we're probably about the only country that performs it for medical purposes in newborn babies. Now, in Africa, there's some adults that are circumcised because they think it prevents HIV. They are trying to push for it in adults, but no other country performs infant circumcision for medical reasons. Jewish babies in Israel, they're circumcised solely for religious reasons. And in the Middle East, they'll perform it on older boys for religious reasons as well, for the Muslim faith.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
That's good to get kind of a background on it and kind of where it started, why it started, for more religious beliefs and for the covenant purposes. And yeah, I wonder, one of the things I was wondering is the procedure that they performed back in Bible days the same as it is now?
Well, there's a lot of evidence that it is actually a different procedure. The biblical procedure was actually much more minor, barely cut off a small amount of the foreskin instead of the entire thing, because there's verses in the Bible that talk about do not become uncircumcised because they could easily try to stretch it down and reverse it. However, a few hundred years after Christ, the Jewish people, they were realizing that their people were trying to make themselves fit in with the rest of the world, and so that's when they started to change it to be more of the dramatic, sort of modern type of circumcision that removes the entire foreskin. So the original command, and there's a whole website called littleimages.org, and they explain it very well. I help a little bit with Little Images, but they have diagrams, they have a bunch of resources and sources that support the evidence that it was a very different procedure back then compared to what we do now.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, okay, so I'll link that just in case people are wanting to get more information on those specific things and the details there. Yeah, okay, so one of the things that kind of popped into mind is the idea, some of the things I've heard from other people is this idea of, well, there could be more potential for infection in the male as he grows up. If he doesn't know how to clean properly. That's one of the things I've heard that circumcision helps with. The other thing that I've heard too is more for cosmetic reasons, the son looking like dad and not having to have that difference there. And I know that goes pretty deep, right? Like there's an emotional thing there. It's this idea of like you don't want them to feel like they're different or other than or whatever. And I know that's a good conversation that you'd get to have eventually if you did decide on not circumcising. But yeah, that's one of the other things I hear is this idea of, well, we don't want them to look different than dad. And I think that can be a hard decision and a hard thing to kind of wrestle with. But in regards to the cleanliness issue, what does that look like? Like, what are the kind of, I don't know.
Well, and those are very important concerns that parents have. And the great news that I like to share with parents is that the foreskin is just another body part that is normal. It's healthy. It's found on all mammals, including whales, bats, cats, dogs, horses. All these mammals are born with foreskin. It's designed to be there, just like your eyelids are designed to be there to protect your eyes or your lips to protect your mouth. People tend to think of it as quote unquote extra skin, but it's not. It's actually very richly innervated. It has very sensitive nerve endings like your fingertips, which help increase pleasure during sex. It protects the glands. It's just, like the eyelids can keep your eyes moist. That's what it does for the male.
Okay.
And so it's actually quite easy to clean with young boys. You don't have to retract at all. You don't have to do anything special. What the motto is just clean the outside only, like a finger. And don't worry, there's nothing to clean under because the foreskin is tightly adhered to the glands. Okay. And as a male gets older, all they have to do is clean with some water a few times a week, and that's about it. I mean, it's harder to take care of teeth or toenails than it is to take care of the foreskin. And actually, what's interesting is females are actually born with foreskin too.
Oh yeah.
So that's another thing that
right.
Anatomically, it's very similar, and females get all sorts of infections, and a lot of times it's from over vigorous cleaning or using too many products down there. So
Right.
But with females, we recommend just cleaning normally, washing, taking a shower, and we don't cut anything off. We just practice regular hygiene. And so that's one thing I like to reassure parents is there's not any more chance of getting infection, as long as you just properly care for it and leave it alone when he's a young boy, and then as he gets older, just to take care of it properly. The matching thing, the rates of circumcision are really dropping right now in America. So when people say, oh, I want my son to not look different in the locker room, there's a good chance that there's going to be multiple intact boys in the locker room. And, if you think about a father and a son, like my husband has blue eyes, our son has brown eyes, they're not going to be completely matching in every aspect. I think it's pretty easy to explain to a little boy that, like, hey, daddy, had this happen to him when he was a baby, but we didn't do that. We just thought that you were born just fine, and we didn't think you needed to go through that. And I think most boys are just going to shrug it off and move on. Not going to, it's not going to be something that's going to even negatively affect a father-son relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I for sure hope not. Seems like a good conversation to have if you're going to have hard ones anyways. So that makes sense. Yeah. The only other thing I was thinking of was if you did have a father-son relationship where the father was circumcised and the son was still intact. What are some ways? I mean, I'm thinking, I'm just trying to think, like, how would the dad know how to show the son how to clean properly? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, once he gets to the certain age, being able to teach him how to clean so he doesn't get infected because it's different.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, before puberty, really, you don't have to do anything special. They just clean the outside only. And then afterwards, I mean, once a boy is going through puberty, I don't think they're really going to be, seeing their father naked very often or whatever. But it's very easy to just even explain to it. I mean, I can even explain to a boy, like, hey, you just would pull it back, retract it, rinse with some water, and put it back into place. And so, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Okay, cool. And then the website that you mentioned before, do you have like things? Because I'm just trying to think super practically, like if a parent's
There's
like, I don't know
resources.
how. Okay.
Yeah.
Where would you like?
There is there's a great nonprofit website called yourwholebaby.org. And they have so much on there: resources, research, intact care. I mean, everything you could need. Wonderful information. And if you don't mind, I could just talk on a few of the other
go for it.
medical benefits, why people really tend to, these are some of the reasons why people tend to give that they circumcise. One of the reasons, that I hear a lot is, well, it prevents penile cancer. Well, then I'll tell people, really men have a risk. It's only 1 in 200,000. Men have a greater risk of dying from breast cancer than penile cancer. Wow. So here we're removing a body part that, the risk is so low. It's one of the rarest cancers. And you're better off to be removing your son's breast buds instead of their foreskin. Okay. And then another one is UTI. And really, Japan and Sweden, they don't circumcise and they don't have problems with UTIs with their males because UTIs are so rare in males. Again, to prevent one UTI, you'd have to perform 186 circumcisions. So 186 surgeries just to prevent one infection that you can just treat easily with antibiotics. And females get UTIs 9 times more than males, but we don't treat with surgery. We just give them some antibiotics.
Sure.
And then the final one is the HIV, which has been one of the more recent reasons why people have said that circumcision should be performed in America. But really, practicing safe sex, either having a monogamous relationship or using condoms. Right. That's the best way to really prevent HIV. We really, in America, we have a really high HIV rate and a high circumcision rate. Over in Europe, many countries, they I mean, like I said, it's 0 or 1% circumcision rate, and they have much lower rates of HIV. So, saying that we need to remove a healthy body part to prevent some diseases that supposedly could happen someday
Yeah.
doesn't really, doesn't really make a lot of sense when you start to learn about it and read
Sure.
about it and research and realize that all these things that we've been told don't carry a lot of weight. Because before I learned about all this, I thought, oh yeah, like circumcision, it's healthier, of course. Like, why not do it? And then I started really reading the research and looking into all these various reasons. And I'm like, whoa, like this blows my mind that
Wow.
it really doesn't need to be done.
Wow. So, one of the things that I think about too is moms that are listening that have already had one of their boys circumcised and maybe some of the feelings around that. Obviously, like moms, you're doing amazing. Like, no matter what you choose, you're still going to be a good mom. Like, your boy's going to be healthy. But, like, what are some things that you would just encouragement or just something that you would share with a mom listening, or if they're, planning to have more kids, what's some things that you would share with them?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I like to say to moms, don't beat yourself up if you made a decision with, that was the best that you knew at the time, and you believe that was the best for your son at the time. So don't ever beat yourself up about any decision. The one thing I would just like to encourage moms is to really be open to new information and be open to learning more. Because I feel like sometimes you feel like, well, I made this choice, and so now
Sure.
I'm just not going to even learn about it because I can't change what I did in the past.
Sure.
But I think it's good to be open to new information and learn. And if you do have another son, I know of so many families that are raising, they had circumcised an older boy or two, and then they learned more. And because they knew more, then they made a different choice for their second or third. And those sons live in harmony, and there's no problem with having two different
Sure.
boys in the family. It's not gonna, just because you made the choice with the first one doesn't mean you have to continue with the
Sure.
second, third, or fourth son. So
Yeah.
just be open to information is the main thing. Don't shut down
Yeah.
about learning. Always be open to learning.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think it's one of the reasons I am placing this specific episode in this season called The Hard Stuff is
Uh-huh.
for the real reason that this is a hard conversation and a harder topic to talk
Yeah,
about because it does involve a surgery and, there's a lot of emotional stuff
yeah,
attached to it. And I think it
yeah,
is really good that we have resources and ways that we can educate ourselves. And I'm so glad that you have given us some
yeah.
of those. So that's really amazing, really helpful.
Mhm.
I was going to ask if someone were to choose to have their son circumcised, I wondered if you had any opinion medically on the timing that they do that, because I know in some places they tend to, or sometimes they do it as soon as the baby is born. And in Jewish
Mhm.
tradition, I know typically they wait till the eighth day because of blood clotting, right? Is that right?
Yeah, and really, because I looked into that, I researched it more, and really, blood clotting isn't fully formed until a baby is about 6 months of
Oh,
age.
wow.
So
Okay.
there's still always the risk of bleeding.
Sure.
So I would say definitely, educate yourself about all the risks that could happen. One of the big things we see in the ER too is trouble with breastfeeding after circumcision
Sure.
because the babies have a lot of pain.
Okay.
So when my hospital won't perform it on babies that are having any kind of trouble breastfeeding, they won't perform it, within the first 24 hours of life because they have to make sure that a baby is stable
Okay.
because if, they always have to give them the vitamin K
Yes.
injection because of the risk of bleeding.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those are definitely some things, breastfeeding needs to be going well. They have to have the vitamin K. I know a lot of doctors won't do it without the vitamin K injection.
Okay. That's awesome.
So,
Perfect. Thank
yeah.
you for that. Well, do you have anything else that you'd like to add to that?
The only thing I was going to say is, like you said, I am a Christian, and
Yes.
I definitely believe there's that one verse that says, "You created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made." And anybody who's a Christian out there, I just would like to encourage you to just really take that verse to heart and just say, "Hey, God, you designed my son and you made him just perfectly. You formed him in my womb. It's such a miracle." And once he's born, you can look at him and say, "Wow, we can just leave him this way. We don't have to change anything on him," and just praise God for how amazing he designed, your son's body.
Hmm.
So
That's
I
very
guess
sweet.
that's just the last little thing I'd like to say.
Love it. Love that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, Sylvia, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to chat
Yeah,
with me about this.
my pleasure.
Yes, I'm so grateful that we got to do this together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was glad to be here.
Yay.
I love helping, just talking with moms about childcare in general and raising
Yes.
kids. And this is just one of those areas that I've done a lot of research, and so now I'm pretty passionate about just sharing, spreading the word about it. I love educating moms on
Mm.
breastfeeding and nutrition and other topics too.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, where can we find you on like on social media in case somebody is wanting to reach out with more questions or that kind of thing?
Oh yeah. Well, on Facebook, you could just look up, I'm Sylvia Joy Swan on Facebook. Swan is my maiden name, and I help with the Your Whole Baby Facebook group. And if you
Okay.
look on yourwholebaby.org, I'm one of their volunteers there. I'm one of their consultants or whatever they would say,
Okay.
one of their medical
Awesome.
people. So yeah, because I help with some of the medical questions whenever we have, moms who have questions or concerns, or
Sure.
even pregnant moms who want to ask questions and have concerns. We always are there for
Oh,
them.
great.
Yeah, it's a great.
That's
I love Your Whole Baby. I
amazing.
love your little images. They're both nonprofits, and
Oh,
so it's just
wonderful.
I do it in my spare time, just volunteer for them.
Oh, that's so great. Okay, perfect. And I'll add
Yeah.
all those links to the show notes and
Okay.
we'll share those things on our social media platforms as well. So, yay. Oh, thank you again.
Well, thank you
Seriously.
so much. I
Yes.
appreciate you having me.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Please share this with a friend if it impacted you in any way, and leave a review on iTunes so other mamas can hear the truth that they are enough and they are doing their very best. Be sure to catch up on what's happening in the Mommispace community every day on Instagram at Mommispace. And you can email me at mommispace@gmail.com for questions or interview recommendations. All my love to you, Mama. You're amazing. See you next week.
Blue skies, the mother again. Those rain clouds kissed pink are running away, running away. A stranger holds my hand, and I'm living in a land of prayers from people I don't know. Now I'm still breathing, I'm still seeing the sunrise. For now, I'm still breathing, I'm still seeing the sunrise. That's gotta mean something. It's gotta mean something. Give me a friend to call. It doesn't matter if they don't know what I'm going through at all. I'll take a normal talk. Come over, let's go take a walk to clear the darkness creeping in. Oh, still breathing, I'm still seeing the sunrise. For now, I'm still breathing, I'm still seeing the sunrise. That's gotta mean something. It's gotta mean something. For now, I'm still breathing, I'm still seeing the sunrise. For now, I'm still breathing, I'm still seeing the sunrise. That's gotta mean something. It's gotta mean something.